What's going on, all you armchair athletes? This is Mike.
This is D.
How's everybody's day going so far? How you doing today, D?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Oh, it's another day in paradise. We're going to be talking about a little bit different stuff today. It's going to be the NBA playoffs, something D is way more well-versed in than me, so I'm going to be hanging out, asking questions, playing devil's advocate, and D's going to come at you with all the stats, his predictions on what's going to happen, and I'm going to try and give my little 2 cents every once in a while. So I'm going to go ahead and let you take this away to start off with, D.
All right, man, let's go. Like Mike said, this is my passion, National Basketball Association, a league of crybabies and wealthy athletes that I love to watch. Defenseless three-point shooting NBA, still fun for me. I love basketball. It was my favorite sport growing up, and I just can't help but follow it regardless of how petty the league gets.
Yes.
Let's recap the first round a little bit. Apparently, Damian Lillard is now Michael Jordan.
I have been hearing the comparisons to a Michael Jordan playoff performance after getting out of the first series with a great three-point shot. Nobody can deny that three-point shot, but
It was a bad shot.
Yeah, it was a bad shot, guys.
It was a bad shot that he drains like 66% of the time.
Right, he's like 4 for 6 for past 30 feet. But, yeah, I mean, it just shocks me. Again, I don't follow basketball that much. I mean, playoffs I watch. I try and watch a couple games during the season. But I was just floored when I heard people comparing Lillard to Michael Jordan. It was shocking.
I'll give him this. 50 points in a closeout game with a shot on the logo to close it out and end it, wrap it up before overtime. That's Michael Jordan-esque.
Sure.
But Lillard got drafted in 2012, I believe. He's been to the second round twice, and he's got smacked in the second round twice.
Right. I mean, it's just, if he could do this, he should be concentrating on what's coming up. I mean, if he could do this again, if he could do this the whole playoffs, get to the finals and win, then I could see people comparing his playoff performance to a Michael Jordan playoff performance. But you're still in the you just got out of the first series.
Yeah, like if it leads to you guys making a real deep run.
Right.
It's going to be historical no matter what because it was in the playoffs. It's going to be something that stamps Damian Lillard's legacy. But let's pump the brakes.
Yeah, it's wild how they're treating him. It's crazy.
Didn't you say you heard somebody compare his legacy to Larry Bird?
Yeah, there was a pundit, and I don't remember exactly who it was.
We're not going to say names anyway.
But he definitely compared his legacy to Larry Bird's legacy, and I mean Lillard's a great NBA player. The dude is great, but you're talking about probably the top, when you're comparing him to Larry Bird and Michael Jordan, 2 in the top 5 of the greatest of all time.
Oh, for sure. And I don't understand why Larry Bird's not in that conversation, but when he initially came in the league, they talk about how LeBron came in and had an immediate impact, and certain players come in and they immediately have an impact. Larry Bird turned an entire franchise around single-handedly. Now, I don't know if it's because of his, what we'll call background, or what it is, but Larry Bird doesn't get near enough respect because that man was a complete animal. And he's probably the only dude that could say, while he was in the league, he beat every great player that was in the league. Because not even Jordan could say that because he couldn't get past those bad boy Pistons. He had a hard time with the Celtics.
True.
So, I mean, like...
Bro, they made a salary cap rule because of Larry Bird. There's a rule for salary caps called the Larry Bird exception, or the Bird exception. I mean, when you have a salary cap rule named after you, I don't understand how you're not in the conversation.
Yeah, like Hack-a-Shack. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, when they're changing rules because of how you play. Yeah. I mean, and that's a little different. It's a salary thing, but, like, the dude was in high demand because he was one of the best and had times where he was the best player in the National Basketball Association.
Right. Yeah, people leave him out unduly, of course.
All right. Well, let's move on. So let's start off with Portland. We don't know yet. We're recording this prior to the Game 7 for San Antonio and Denver. So we don't know who Portland's going to play. But let's just go over some quick stats. So Portland split the series with the Spurs. They each won both of their home games. And then with the Nuggets actually won that series 3-1 over the regular season. But Nurk's gone. Nobody on that floor is going to shoot like 11 for 50, like Russell Westbrook, from either one of those teams. And Jokic has had monster games against Portland, with Cantor being their biggest big man. I don't see that changing. Lillard is averaging close to their season average against Denver. He did have a 6 for 16 shooting night, but that was all the way back in November. And let's see, against San Antonio, LaMarcus Aldridge he's mediocre at best against them, but DeMar DeRozan has just been eating Portland up all season. So I need to know who they're going to play
to make that prediction.
They get smacked in the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah,
Damian Lillard gets smacked in the second
if
round.
history repeats itself.
Yeah, but so far it hasn't. Like,
big game Dame.
Yeah, I mean, he's shown up so far. So that's going to be exciting. But I would say if Denver advances, Denver's going to go to the conference finals.
So Denver beats Portland.
If Denver beats San Antonio, then yes, Denver will beat Portland. But if San Antonio beats Denver, I think we're going to see Portland in the Western Conference Finals, because DeRozan hasn't shown. He did show out Game 6 of this series right now between San Antonio and Denver, but DeRozan is the whole reason why Kawhi Leonard is in Toronto right now. They were like, this dude's never going to get us there. So until I see DeRozan get them somewhere besides out of the first round, which they haven't even done yet, then I'm not going to buy into San Antonio. As great as a coach as Popovich is, and he's becoming a grumpy old man.
Yeah, and so is DeRozan. I've been watching him play, and it looks like he lost his best friend.
Oh, he did lose his best friend. And he's been replaced.
Yeah.
Because Kawhi is out there balling.
Yep.
Kawhi is out there eating the East up. Quietly. Quietly. No matter what pundits hate him. Quietly, he's been eating them up. But that and if they do play San Antonio and Derek White can put together a decent game, San Antonio has a chance to stretch it out and even take it. But they got to have good perimeter defense, and they don't. So we'll just see what happens when Jamal Murray's cooking you in the playoffs, and Greg Popovich is your coach. Like, I don't know.
You have to change something,
right? Let's move on to the next Western Conference series in the semis. A series that you're going to appreciate along with most of the United States of America. Houston and Golden State.
This is probably going to be the most talked about game in the series.
Oh, guaranteed. The most talked about series.
Yeah, most talked about series in the playoffs. Just because, I mean, Harden this season has just decided that he's going to score as many points as he possibly can, regardless of anything else.
Yeah.
He's just going to run down the floor and shoot the ball, and if it goes in, it goes in, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, he's not going to stop shooting. He's going to be the person who takes the most shots, whether he's making shots, not making shots. Harden is going to try and put a series win on his shoulders by himself.
Well, in a way, he kind of has to. Even if people don't want to admit that. But if we go back to last year, the thing is that even if we go back to last year, they pushed Golden State to Game 7, right?
Right.
And everybody was like, if Chris Paul was healthy, but let's just say if Harden hit more shots. Why do we have to say if Chris Paul was healthy? You know what I mean? Like, so to me, as long as Harden is shooting decently and getting to the free throw line, which is a major part of his offense, and he's getting to the free throw line 12-plus times a game, Houston has a chance to win this game.
That's true. I mean, I don't feel like you can ever count any of those dudes out.
Yeah, I mean, they're a good team, and they're high intensity offense, like they're potent, but so is Golden State. And I know even you said, and a lot of pundits have talked about what a difficult time they had with the Los Angeles Clippers. But I'm like, really? Was it really? Because when they did beat them, they were blowing them off the floor.
Whether it be a luck of the draw type situation or whatever the case may have been when they're playing each other, I mean, it's still the Clippers. And like when your sixth man is who you're leaning on to score points and you're beating the Golden State Warriors, they're doing something wrong. And they just can't make those same mistakes. Maybe they look past them. They can't make those same mistakes against Houston. Houston will eat them alive if that happens.
People talk about the Clippers as if it's like goofy that Lou Williams is their front runner for most important player on the team, but it's really not. Like, he's in that role so he can run with the second unit.
Right.
He's a glorified bench player. He's not really a bench player. He just comes off the bench so he can run the second unit. Like a Manu Ginobili.
Right. He's not trash.
He's great.
Yeah, he's a good NBA
until
player.
Game 6 of the 2019 first round of the playoffs, and he shoots like 7%.
You're still talking about a Sixers team that is good. Clippers team that is good. You have, Patrick Beverley, who probably is my favorite NBA player just because of how grimy he plays. But when you're relying on Patrick Beverley and your sixth man to win you games, that's a different thing than when you're playing Chris Paul and James Harden.
Yeah. But, there is a lot of collective efforts going on for the Clippers that were keeping them in games.
For sure.
But, I digress. Harden averages 39 points, 9 assists, and 5 rebounds in the 3 games that he's played against Golden State this year. Golden State won the series Houston actually won the season series 3-1. And Golden State did win their one game in Houston. But this is one of those series where home court advantage isn't as big of a deal as it is in a lot of other series, because these two teams know each other so well that they're literally just out there. And they've been in this situation so many times now that, like, the noise is quiet. You'll see Steph drain a half-court 3, pull up from half-court and sink it, and the crowd's going to go crazy, and they're going to interact with the crowd. But you'll see them interact with the crowd the same way even in Houston, except they'll be looking at them like, what? Yeah, instead of, like, true. Pumping them up. They'll, so I don't think home court advantage really matters in this one. Harden's eating them up this year. Chris Paul's averaging 19 points, 9 assists, and 5 rebounds in 3 games. And Clint Capella's averaging 15 and 15. And then we got Curry, who's averaging 28, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds. Clay's averaging 21 points, and KD's averaging 25 points and 5 rebounds, all in the 3 games that they played.
That is such a scary team.
Yeah, it is.
Offensively, that team is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is pretty ridiculous. Now, here's the key stat for me. And I'm not sure how many people are really going to catch on to this or even find it relevant, but to me it's the most relevant thing in deciding the series. Now, Boogie's hurt, but he played 2 games. He averaged 20 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals. Pretty productive.
Right.
But he's gone. These are Draymond stats. 3.8 points per game. 3.8 points per game. 6 rebounds and 5 assists.
You've been big on whether or if he plays well, they have a shot. If he plays well, they should win. If he plays bad, then they're gonna have to grind it out.
If this is Draymond for this series, I don't see them taking it. He has to be way more aggressive. He can't lick backboards all game. Like, this dude is gonna have to play some basketball.
He's gonna have to bring it to help advance them, because Houston is no slouch.
No, Houston is not a slouch. Now, another stat I don't know if people are going to pay attention to is Kevon Looney. So now that we don't have Boogie Cousins, Kevon Looney's back to getting 15, 18 minutes a game, or he should be, especially in this series. But he averages 12, there are 2 games where Boogie didn't play. So in the first game, he played 18 minutes, scored 12 points, and had 5 rebounds. And in the second game, he played 22 minutes, scored 12 points, and had 7 rebounds. So that's better than Draymond.
Right. You're outplaying your star.
Yeah, I'll take that. And if Draymond can step it up, I'm going to take Golden State in 7.
So you say it goes all 7.
If Draymond plays well, I'm taking Golden State in 7.
Okay, let's say Draymond doesn't play well.
Houston in 6.
Okay. So
if it goes 7,
it's going to the Warriors.
Yeah. Period. Whether Draymond plays well or not.
Right. So 7 goes to the Warriors. Anything before that goes to Houston?
Goes to Houston. And,
right.
Of course, this is predicated on whether or not we get playoff Harden or if he's a new playoff Harden or whatever's going on with that dude, because he had a couple games against Houston. Should have been a sweep.
You can't be giving yourself outs.
I'm not.
You can't say
if Harden
plays.
If I have to pick today, I'm taking Houston in 6.
Houston in 6.
That is my
right.
prediction. Houston in 6.
We'll be interested to see the outcome of this, and we'll definitely be following along.
And part of that is me just hoping we get somebody else out of the West into the finals. So I'm not going to lie. I want that to happen. But at the same time, we don't get to see dynasties that often. So
that's true.
Either way.
Well, let's talk about your probably your most the one game you're looking forward to watching the most, I would guess, and that's the Bucks and the Celtics.
Yes, that is probably going to be my favorite series to watch, more so than Houston and Golden State.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be an interesting game. I mean, Giannis, everybody knows that guy's a freak. Curry.
That's what they call him.
Kyrie is probably one of the most intelligent basketball players out there. So even as a novice NBA fan, that's going to be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, the series is going to be... It's going to offer you different... It's going to offer you a different entertainment than Houston and Golden State is. Because this is going to be more of an intellectual series because these two teams don't know each other like that.
Yeah, this is a chess match.
Exactly. And in fact, in my notes I even wrote to make sure I say this is going to be like two boxers filling each other out in game 1. Like, it's going to be a super interesting series to watch.
Definitely. I mean, you're going to have... It's going to be a game of role players versus Houston, and the Warriors is going to be whoever can have the most offense. I think Boston...
And make the most defensive stops.
Right. I think Boston versus the Bucks is going to be very much a game of role players and slowing down the game and running plays.
Yeah. Well, Milwaukee actually won the series. So the first game was 97-98 Milwaukee. The second game, middle of the season, Milwaukee won that one by 13 points. And then the last one, Boston won by 4. So Kyrie averages 22 points and 6 assists, 4 rebounds against them. The person I'm watching, because he was averaging close to a triple-double on the season against them, is Al Horford. 20 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists per game. So
that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah. I mean,
I would have definitely not have assumed that.
He's quiet. It's a quiet 20, 11, and 7.
Right.
But the numbers are the numbers.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I wouldn't have...
And he averaged 2 blocks a game.
There's no way I would have averaged him at 20 points a game.
Mm-hmm. But he only played him twice, but still.
Yeah, I mean...
Hayward actually played 31 minutes a game against these dudes. You know I don't really care for Hayward.
I know, and I like him. I just like he's the most unassuming basketball player. Like, you just look at him and you're like, man, is he going to be able to, like, really, like, he just looks like he would run funny. But I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it, but then you watch him shoot, why. And that dude could shoot, bro. Like, he can shoot.
No, he's definitely not Utah Hayward right now and hasn't been. We've seen glimpses of it. Like, anytime I feel like he's a no-go whatsoever in daily fantasy, he just snaps.
He just bombs all over your team.
But, yeah, and usually he's heavy in the field, and I'm like, I'm fading this dude, and then he goes off. But He averages 14.5 points per game. Tatum's actually pretty productive against these dudes, 16 points and 7 rebounds a game. That's important in a playoff series. And the thing is these dudes have been there, with the exception of Hayward. Hayward was hurt. But Boston's been there.
Right.
I mean, Milwaukee has too, but not like Boston and not like Kyrie. Definitely not like Kyrie. Kyrie's got a ring.
Milwaukee's never gone deep into a finals or into a playoff like that. Like Kyrie has.
And Kyrie's been there multiple times. So another interesting statistic that people need to watch again. It's only a 2-game clip, but Jaylen Brown actually averages 18 points and 6 rebounds against the Celtics.
So it seems like the Celtics just have to have their starters do well.
Well, Brown and Hayward aren't starters. Well, Brown will probably start this season because Marcus Smart is out, but it's going to help them for Marcus Smart to be out. And hopefully he's out, honestly, because I'm going for Boston in the series.
You're a huge Kyrie fan.
Yeah, I like Kyrie. It's my son's favorite player, too.
So Giannis, it feels like the Bucks are relying on one player to carry them versus the Celtics just have to play as a team to beat that one guy.
Yeah. Well, it's going to help the Celtics for Marcus Smart to be out. There were reports he had began running on a treadmill on Tuesday, so we may see him at some point in the series. But he averages 5 and 4 against them, so just let Jaylen keep rolling. You guys just swept the Pacers with him in the starting lineup. Just keep doing that. And then, so moving on to Milwaukee, Giannis averages 31, 11, and 4.
God.
So, yeah. He's going to have to average that plus in order to come out of this series as the winning team, I believe, because their second, Middleton's okay. He averages 17 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. That's pretty good numbers. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But Bledsoe, who they really count on at the point guard position, is averaging 11, 3, and 3.
Bledsoe just needs to keep his cool.
He does, but you want that passion as long as he's not throwing the ball at anybody. Like you want
ejected from games.
As long as he's not getting ejected, you want Bledsoe to play with that drive. But the bottom line is your starting point guard is averaging 3 assists a game against his team.
Yeah.
11-3. Giannis is averaging more assists.
That's definitely something that they should be addressing.
That's that Boston defense treatment. That's what that is. And then Brogdon, who's out at least the first 2 games, is super productive. But he's out the first 2 games. He averages 14 and 7 rebounds against them. And then the other thing that is going to be important for them to get going is Brook Lopez. Their center against Boston is only averaging 5 points and 6 rebounds against Boston.
He has such a weird gameplay. Like, he plays so weird.
Right, and it fits Boston because Boston can Al Horford and even Aaron Baines at times, but especially Al Horford can get out and guard on the perimeter, and that's where Brook Lopez wants to play. Like he wants to go out and bomb threes.
Like he wants to be a shooting guard.
If they had a traditional center or even something like one, they would be. I wouldn't bet anybody against them.
Yeah.
Like Brook Lopez is having a fantastic season. Definitely a season nobody saw coming. But he's going to get smashed on in this series if he doesn't adjust his game. Because if he's averaging 5 points and 6 rebounds, they're toast. They're toast.
Yeah, they definitely are going to need some kind of help in the paint. But do they have a option other than Brook Lopez as a center?
They have Ersan Ilyasova, but he likes to shoot threes.
So they don't have a traditional center?
No. Brook Lopez is their center. Because Ilyasova, traditionally is a power forward. And then they have DJ Wilson, but DJ Wilson likes to hang out on the perimeter too. And it's just not going to work against Boston. It worked in the season, but Boston was a weird team during the season. And people were just like, oh, they're better without Kyrie. Listen, no team is better without Kyrie.
Yeah, they were definitely on an emotional roller coaster. I mean, you could just hear pundits talking almost every week about Tatum says this or news out of the locker room says this, and it was like the Pittsburgh Steelers of the NBA.
Yeah, or the Lakers.
You just heard a bunch of nonsense coming out of their locker room, and it seems like towards the end of the season, they kind of just talk to each other and realize this is we're letting this slip away. So we need to shape up.
Yeah, we need to collect ourselves.
We need to collect ourselves, get our locker room in order, and all realize we're on the same team and we're here to win championships.
Yeah, I mean, and they have a shot. That's the thing. They have a good shot at getting to the finals.
Yeah, I think you've said multiple times that's the only team you see taking out the Bucks.
Yeah, if the Bucks get past Golden State, get past Boston, I can't count Kawhi out because he's an animal. But I mean, it comes down to how well are you coached, and how smart is your best player. And as much as I like Giannis and I love watching that dude play basketball, I can't say he's got a basketball IQ anywhere near Kyrie's.
Right.
And until he develops that, I don't think he's fit to lead a team the way that this particular team needs to be led in this series. So I'm going to take my pick. I've got to go with Boston in 7. I think they're going to split their home games until the Game 7, and Boston's going to close it out in Milwaukee in Game 7, and Brad Stevens and Kyrie are going to out-coach because Kyrie's going to have to help coach.
Right.
So
and
Stevens
that's kind of his role. I mean,
right.
Stevens
Stevens
that's why
and Kyrie will out-coach Giannis and Budenholzer, and they'll take it in 7 and advance.
That's a pretty pointed prediction. Game 7, there's no like there was with the Rockets and Golden State. If this happens, this might happen. I
just don't see it happening any other way because Giannis is an animal. It's not going to be a 5-game series.
Right? They're not gonna just take one.
Yeah, they're not going to roll over or anything like that. I mean, Giannis is going to get his too. Like if you're playing daily fantasy, don't be afraid to roster that dude because they're going to shut everyone else down, and Giannis hates losing. So
yeah, he's going to do what he has to do.
Unless he's in foul trouble, like he's going to get his. Period. But that intensity in the last 5 minutes of a game, in a close game, that intensity isn't all you need. Like, you need the intelligence along with it.
Right. You need a basketball IQ.
Yeah. And he's got one. And it's getting stronger. But Kyrie's just a savant.
Yeah.
Like, that dude is amazing.
So, who do you see going to the finals? And who do you see winning a championship?
Well, let's talk about the second series in the East real quick.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm not settled on that yet. So I got Toronto coming out of the series. But we got Toronto and the Sixers. And Embiid is going to have like 30 points and 18 rebounds a game to get out of the series. But he only averages 26 and 12 against the Raptors.
Do you think good old Jimmy's going to give him some help? Jimmy
Buckets is going to do well. He's going to have a decent series. It's hard because Toronto guards. Toronto guards, and I know some people like to consider Butler a small forward. He's a shooting guard. And Toronto plays the perimeter and guards really well.
Right.
And Ben Simmons is actually going to have a good series too. He's going to have to because they handle Embiid well. And it's not like the last series, Embiid was going up against Jarrett Allen and Rondae Hollis-Jefferson.
Just a different caliber of player.
Yeah, I mean, now you're dealing with Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, Pascal Siakam, who's had a fantastic season.
Right.
Siakam has to be the most improved player. I like what D'Angelo Russell did, and I'm super mad at the Lakers right now as a Laker fan, so I'm happy he's doing it after they got rid of him. But Siakam's amazing. He's got to be the most improved player. But moving on. So Embiid's only averaging 26 and 12 against this team. That's not going to get it done.
He's going to have to step up.
He's going to have to step up. Ben Simmons is averaging 16 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists. So So he's pretty much averaging a triple-double.
Every game.
So he's going to have to do that, and he's going to struggle too, because he was going to the rim at will against Brooklyn. But again, you're not taking the ball up at Rondae Hollis-Jefferson.
Right.
And the average household says who? You know? So,
yeah.
like, as a fantasy player, whenever you're rostering him for $3,600, we all know who he is. Right. Like, the average household doesn't even know who that is.
Yeah, the only reason I knew his name is because of the playoffs. Like, other than that, I would have had no idea who he is.
Right. And Jarrett Allen, as good a shot blocker as he is, he's just not skilled like that. Like, so it's just a different caliber of team. But Jimmy averages 23 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, and averages 3 steals a game. So
Jesus.
So fantasy players out there, roster him.
Yeah,
I think he's like $7K right now on FanDuel. I stopped playing DraftKings, so I don't know what he is there. But on FanDuel, he's like 7,200. Roster the dude. He's gonna get his. In fact, if the Sixers are gonna be competitive, he's got to get it every day.
Especially if you're playing multiple lineups.
Right.
Like if you're just having to pick these single team entries, I mean, it still sounds like he would be a great option to put on your roster. But if you're entering 5, 6, 10 lineups, some of them are even like 150 lineups. Well, yeah, I guess not for the playoffs.
Right? But. No, they do. They do, but I have no interest in them. Like for me personally, in the first game, Jimmy. And the thing is people need to remember that the slates are so small during the playoffs.
Right.
So Jimmy's a must start. Like even if I'm putting in multiple lineups, and this is probably a big gamble, and luckily nobody's going to hear this before game 1. So you might, but probably not. He's a must start in every one of mine because 23, 5, 5, and 3 steals a game on average. And Jimmy is somebody who steps it up in the playoffs, which he did in the first series. I'm rostering him all day, every day. Tobias Harris, he played 2 games, but he wasn't really much of a factor. 11 points, 4 rebounds a game. I'm more excited to move on to the Raptors. Kawhi averages 30 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 steals.
Jeez.
4 steals a game was his average playing the 76ers.
That's crazy.
And just like how Kyrie and Kawhi like to manage their load. Just kidding. They made sure they were there for these. Like they made sure that their load was managed enough to play these games.
To play in these ones?
Yeah, so Kawhi 30 points and 4 steals. I mean, the peripherals are great, but that's good.
You might do something with that.
And
you might be okay.
Siakam averages 16 and 9, 16 points, 9 rebounds. And Lowry averages 17 points and 7 assists.
I know Lowry's your favorite player.
Man, I can't stand Kyle Lowry. Not as I could talk to him. Like, there's some NBA players that I would look at like, bro, I don't want an autograph. I don't want anything from you. Don't even, shake my kid's hand. I don't need that badge.
He's not one of them.
My kid. So it's not that far, but I'm like, Kyle. Damn it, Kyle.
Bro.
Well, he had a strong series in the first round against Orlando. Against DJ Augustine and Michael Carter Williams.
He was playing pickup ball.
Yeah, bro, good job.
You don't get a pat on the back for doing your job.
Yeah. One of those quiet, slow claps, like a golf clap.
Yeah.
That's what I gave Lowry for the first
This was expected of you.
Yeah. Raptors took the series for the season 3-1. They did lose 1 game in Philly. I got Toronto in 6, and I'm being nice. Honestly, I think it's 5.
Toronto in 5.
I got Toronto in 5. But
I could see that happening.
I think the Sixers will get a home game. And other than that, they're just going to jump on their asses. And it's just going to be the way it is. Because Ben Simmons not having a jump shot is a real thing. It's not just a Brooklyn joke.
It's not just a missing poster.
No, it's not just a joke that your favorite Uncle Jared Dudley tells at Thanksgiving. It's a real thing. He can't shoot the ball. And honestly, it's going to be detrimental to them until they can either get him to develop a jump shot or move him out and build around Embiid. Because he's still a great basketball player.
Right.
So you could send him somewhere and get a good point guard out. But until that happens, it's too much going on around the rim for them. When your only outside threat is J.J. Redick finding somewhere to camp out until he gets the ball, and then Jimmy Buckets here and there.
Right. I was going to say, you're forgetting about Mr. Buckets. Yeah,
but he's going to garner attention. I don't think people realize that, Nurse and the Raptors, they're a smart group. If they lose this series, it's not going to be because Jimmy Buckets went apeshit on them.
I don't know why. This is probably the least exciting series for me. I think that's why I just skipped over it.
I'm super pumped to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because you have... but you really like Embiid, and he's a clown. That dude loves trash talking.
That's what I like about him.
Right, he's a clown. He's like a class clown of the NBA.
And I love Kawhi, too.
Kawhi's a great player.
He's a soldier.
Yeah, he's a great basketball player. The dude plays good defense, good offense. He's a good all-around, an old-school basketball player.
I think he's the best two-way player in the NBA.
Yeah,
as far as getting it done on both sides of the floor.
He's a different level of basketball player, and he's hard to deal with. But it's for some reason, I don't see this as being a super exciting series. I'm excited for the Rockets and Warriors. I'm excited for the Celtics and Bucks. But everything else, I'm kind of just
You're not excited to watch Michael Jordan reincarnate?
No. No, I'm not.
Bro, I'm excited because if he's reached a level of maturity to truly lead a team, then we might see something magnificent.
And the problem is I like Lillard, and so I don't want to see what happens when he gets shut down. I don't want to watch that. I had fun watching him in the first series. I have a hard time seeing. I don't know that I will see him do that all over again.
Bro, what do you think about Westbrook?
We don't even need to talk about Westbrook. Westbrook choked when it mattered. I mean, not in one possession or anything like that, but if you're the leader of that team, you and Paul George both, and you guys are in the situation you're in, the answer to your problem isn't to run down and jack up shots.
So, do you think that Westbrook's the problem, or do you think Billy Donovan's the problem?
That's something you could spend 5 hours trying to debate and figure out. I think Westbrook is a great basketball player, and he's been in the league a while now. I just think that he plays so hard all the time. That dude never slows down.
He doesn't think.
Yeah, he's just as soon as he touches the ball, his goal is to get the ball into the basket. And there's no time for hey, let me think about the situation. Yeah, he plays so intense all the time. He gets the ball and he's taking it at you. There's no time for hey, let me evaluate the situation. Do we even need a score?
Yeah.
Can we just hold the ball and then work out a good shot? He's just I hate Lillard. Wow.
Yeah.
And then he played well until it mattered, and I feel that's the mark of a great you can't be in a conversation for being one of the greatest in the league when you make bad decisions when it's time for when the decisions matter.
Yeah. And if you watched,
right,
if you
watched him
all throughout the season, not just this series, Westbrook did a lot of dumb stuff at the end of games. I watched him turn the ball. Bro, remember I told you, I was these dudes go to overtime every day.
Yeah.
And then, sure enough, anytime you and I had an opportunity to watch a Oklahoma City game together, they went to overtime.
Yeah,
and half the time it's because Russell Westbrook turned the ball over. Like
the dude just needs
with a few seconds left.
He needs to improve in certain areas of his game, and to me, the number one area is like situational awareness,
just
like
decision making.
Yeah, understand that you're up by 2 or up by 4 or whatever the case may be. With a minute left, you don't need to go down there and bust out a 3 from from 35 yards out.
You're not playing
35
2K.
feet out. Just cause you want to say that you did that. Like, I don't know. I feel like he's a really good basketball player. He could be one of the greatest basketball players. I mean, the dude statistically is a freak, but on top of your statistics, you have to win games that matter. And that's why I feel like Dame did that. That's why I feel like Dame is a better all-around basketball player than him, because of that exact thing. Like, Dame statistically might not be the same as him, but he wins games.
Yeah. And they really just outperformed the backcourts.
Yeah.
Like, the series was a game between the two backcourts.
Definitely.
And McCollum and Dame outperformed Westbrook and Ferguson and Schroeder and all their antics and all their trash talking.
Right.
It was really pointless. Bro, it was 4-1.
That's what, I mean, me and you were texting each other when that happened.
And I'm like,
I was
bro,
like,
this is 4-1.
I would have told him scoreboard. Like, if you're pounding your chest at me because you won one game, I'd be like, bro, you still need to win 4 more or 3 more. Like, I need to win 1 more. You need to win 3 more.
Yeah, but the reason I ask that is because I don't look at Westbrook as an intelligent basketball player. So, like, somebody has to. At the
he just needs to be
beginning,
taught.
When the season started, Paul George was the clear-cut leader, in my opinion, of that basketball team. And Westbrook was even able to let that happen.
Right.
And then, as time went on and Paul George got hurt, Westbrook wanted the team back. And then once he got the team back, because George was out, he couldn't let the team go back to George.
Right.
And George was underperforming.
Right.
So Westbrook's just not intelligent to me, so they need a coach that Westbrook respects enough to listen to. Because if Westbrook doesn't, like, on
he needs
camera,
a leader,
in front of everybody, in front of everybody, Westbrook will shake his head at Billy Donovan. Like, he'll be like, you need to come out, and he's like, no.
Bro, I feel like it could be anybody. I don't feel... I truly believe in watching his interviews and watching him talk. He believes that he is one of the greatest of all time. And he believes that he knows... Like, you see reporters asking him questions, like legitimate questions, and he'll just roll his eyes and say, I don't know. I'm like, bro...
What?
Yeah, you obviously think that your performance didn't require an explanation, but it did. Like, you can't just shrug your shoulders when people are like, hey, why were you acting like a maniac in the last 2 minutes of the
What
game?
possessed you to drive down the floor as fast as you possibly could and bounce the ball off your knee with 7 seconds left when you were up by 1?
Exactly. Like,
no, I get what you're saying, and I think most people feel that way, that it could be anybody giving him direction, and it's just how he's going to act. Like, he never got spanked as a kid or whatever. But
so you're saying he's a coach that'll spank him? Come here, Russell.
I think if they got somebody in there, like somebody proven, Billy Donovan's not any more proven than Westbrook is.
Take you over my knee.
Yeah, that's what he needs, bro. He needs the Big Ben treatment. Like, he's wild, bro. And he's amazing. He's amazing. But next year they got to realize the path to their success began with Paul George leading the team and ended with Russell Westbrook leading the team.
Well, that being said, I don't need to talk about losers anymore. And that's what he was a very great. He had statistically amazing loser. I mean, that's what he
like,
is.
He's the most productive loser.
Exactly. Like, bro, you did great, but you still lost. Like, that's like, I don't know, finding out your I don't even know what to compare it to. Like, I don't know how you are that great of a basketball player and can't find ways to win. So you're the first best loser. Good job. Like, I don't know.
You're the super hot chick that won't stop cheating.
Yeah.
Like, you're... We bought you everything, and you won't stop cheating.
Exactly, man. It's crazy.
All right.
So what else about the finals do we need to talk about?
Oh, you wanted to see...
Yeah, I want to know who you think's winning the finals.
So...
No explanation, no caveats. Who's winning the final in what game?
There's a caveat. The realistic part of me, Golden State wins the finals in 6 games, regardless of who it's against.
So Golden State in 6 is realistic, you, and hopeful you, I'm sure, is the Celtics. Let me guess, Celtics in 6, 7?
Celtics in Houston, Celtics in 7. That's what I would like to see.
I know you want Kyrie with the ring, so
I want him to do it without LeBron.
Oh, that's right. I don't count that ring. I'm just kidding.
Even though he shot the ring.
Yeah, he won it. He won that game.
You shouldn't count that ring because obviously Kyrie Irving's a cadaver. And Kevin Love is a cadaver. And Rodney Hood is a cadaver. And they're all
trash.
Rec League teams.
Yeah.
Everyone that LeBron has ever played with, post Ray Allen and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, are Rec League basketball players who are complete trash that he put in a Hello Kitty sleeping bag and drugged to the NBA Finals and then inflated them and stood them in their spots while he got swept
pretends like
by the Golden State Warriors.
Everybody pretends like he's just like dragging worthless high school basketball players to NBA championships.
Bro, the amount of disrespect you receive as a LeBron teammate, I couldn't do it. There's no way I could do it. I'm a cadaver now?
I'm definitely not getting you on a LeBron train right now.
I was an NBA player before this year.
So
now I'm a cadaver.
You have Golden State in 6.
They're going to gut me and take my kidneys.
Hopefully you have Celtics in 6 against Houston.
7.
Celtics in 7.
If I had it my way, every series would go 7 games.
Well, the series is starting to... Well, at least we're going to see some games tonight. I'm gonna be tuning in.
Yeah, me too, of course. Awesome. My wife will... I'm like, babe, it's almost June.
Then
you get a break from June to August.
Yeah, you get a couple more months, and then football starts.
Just don't worry about it. That's why there's a TV in your bedroom. Our bedroom. Your bedroom during the NBA season. Our bedroom till football season.
Well, this has been an interesting conversation. We kind of switched up from NFL to NBA. We're going to be doing that pretty regularly, I would assume.
Yeah, especially next season, because I do want to try to provide some DFS coverage for the NBA season.
We caught it late this year, but we'll be on it from the beginning of the year next year. Beginning of the season, I'm sorry.
All right, man. Well, armchair athletes, keep your recliners reclined, your remotes close, and your stat sheets open. Peace.